Well. It looks like Kyle Raleigh is going to have a lot more money to spend on pants to fit his big dumper into because he got paid, baby. Welcome back to the Chaos Ball Podcast. Twas the... it depends on when you're listening to this. I was going to say twas the night before opening day, but this will probably come out the afternoon before opening day. But hello, everyone. Wanted to get a little temperature check of everything of the Mariners before the season officially kicks off for them. And it's been a week. It has been quite the week for Mariners baseball. I had the hitting preview come out, and then it's just been a week of overall really good news, I'd say. Encouraging news, at least. And today, thankfully, this was done today and not the day this is coming out, so I could actually talk about it. As I mentioned, Kyle Raleigh breaded up. He got that bread up. $100 million extension. Actually, I think $105 million extension. Excuse me. Great news. The best news to come out of this offseason, for sure. I think we'd all been clamoring for it as fans to get this extension done. And we're very glad it's going to be done. And now this officially cements. I mean, barring any trades, I doubt trades will happen. But Julio Rodriguez and Kyle Raleigh will be on this team through the end of the decade, at the very least. And that's good work. That's tremendous work. You got to give it up to Jerry Dipoto and the front office when you can. There's obviously plenty to criticize, but I think they've been very good about these extensions. Cal... this was on the horizon. Obviously, he's entering his first year of arbitration coming off of you could say MVP caliber catcher season. It was. He wasn't winning MVP, but he cemented himself as a top catcher in baseball. He was the best catcher in baseball last year for my money. At least top two. And he's entering the first year of arb. You just want to get it done. He's not the youngest guy. He's going to turn 28. I think here soon. I think he just turned 28, actually. So a 6-year extension for $105 million feels like an absolute win-win-win. It's a triple win. It's a win for Cal. It's a win for the team. It's a win for the fans. He is beloved in Seattle. I think he's beloved in the clubhouse. He does so much on the field and so much off the field. It feels like his intangibles are off the charts. He's a leader. You could say he's the captain of this team. And now he's getting paid like he should be. He's getting paid like a top catcher in baseball. $105 million over 6 years. It buys out his basically this year and then the next 2 years of ARB and then the first 3 years of free agency for him. And then there's a vesting option for a 4th year of free agency, which is interesting. But this is it's tremendous news for everyone. Everyone was celebrating on the internet today. It felt good. It's good. We're entering opening day on a high note, and it's not even really relating to like big moves that improved the team because Cal was going to be on this team no matter what. But the extension details per Jeff Passan, $10 million signing bonus. And then this season, $1 million salary. So he was going to be making, I think, 5.6 was the arbitration agreement here. So he makes basically $6 million more than that in a signing bonus plus a very low salary. And then 2026, he makes $11 million. Next season, he makes 12. So those are his ARB years. So they basically bought out his remaining ARB years for $30-ish million, a little bit more. And then his first 3 years of free agency, which would be ages 31, 32, and 33, he makes $23 million a season. And then in 2031, when he turns 34, $20 million vesting player option with a $2 million buyout. So I haven't seen what that vesting option is. I don't know if it's production-based or just play appearances-based. I will see. That is just reasonable. That's a very reasonable contract. That doesn't come without risk. I think signing a player of Cal's makeup at this age is inherently a little risky, but really this isn't that much money. That's probably roughly what he was going to make in arbitration the next couple of years. I'd wager with the signing bonus. So with the signing bonus and then the rest of the arbitration years, it's 22, 34 million. That's probably more than he would have made in total arbitration, but I think that made the later money a little bit cheaper. Because if they paid him just what he would have been owed in arbitration, which was $5.6 million this year, probably 9-ish next year, and then the following years last year, like 13, 14. So he's probably making $10 million more before 2028, but then they only have to pay him 23 a year after that. So that's a success, I'd say, even if his production falls off a cliff at some point in the midst of those free agency bought years. It's still a fine contract. The concern is just he's so strikeout heavy and home run dependent that if that ever craters when he turns 32, he's probably going to be looked at as overpaid. But I think what you're getting from him in those years before is going to be worth it. Defensively, I think he's going to age fine defensively. And just catchers, they'll age quicker. There's a lot more wear and tear on them. But I think this is also rewarding what he's done for the team already. I think you just have to look at extensions like this as kind of a back pay. Like they paid him, league minimum up until this season, and he's been one of the best catchers in baseball over that time, basically the best catcher in baseball. He also hit the home run to break the drought, which means so much to the franchise and to fans, and he's been so good with this pitching staff. I think you got to view some of this money as like, hey, those first 3 years we were paying you pennies. Yeah, some of this is back pay. So, and he deserves it. So this is awesome. This is great. Like this, I have nothing really bad to say about it. The only thing is just it's like a little risky, just again with the player prototype that he is, but it's not that much money, man. Like it's really not. Like this is very reasonable. And I love it. And I'm so happy he's getting paid. So credit to the team. You got to give credit to Dipoto. They've done these extensions well. I love the Julio extension. I love this extension. The Castillo extension has worked out super well as well. So it's like even the freaking Dylan Moore extension. They gave him like that $3 million or 3-year, $10 million extension or whatever it was. That's worked out great. Like I think they haven't handed out a whole lot of free agent contracts, and we scorn them for that, but the extensions they've done is great. And now this has me thinking, like Logan Gilbert is coming up on extension talk. Same with George Kirby. They're both now going into arbitration. Logan is second year, George is first, I think. And between those two guys, they could ask for a lot of money for a lot of years. They're young. They've been healthy, like they're pitchers, so they'll inherently make less money than like a Julio, obviously. But I think they'd be looking at least Max Fried money because they're younger. And that's a pickle they're going to have to sort out. But we're not going to talk about that here today. So shout out to Cal. I love that. I just love that. Franchise catcher. He's going to be with the team at least a decade since making his debut, longer since being drafted. So it's awesome. This is a huge success for the team. This is one of the rousing successes of the Dipoto era so far. Him and Julio as the two main position players. You can do a lot worse than that. And then the other good news from this week, something I really didn't think they'd do. Mitch Haniger was released on March 23rd. I can't believe they did that. Genuinely can't believe it. I had talked all offseason that the right move was just to get rid of Haniger. I'd still, whatever, you got to eat the money. I still would have signed another bat. Obviously, you know that. You also think that if you want this team to win, you think they should sign another bat. But I really thought it was the best move. Release him, eat the money. That's what I would have done in a video game. It's easy to do that. But I didn't think this team would do it because $15.5 million is a lot of money. That is a lot of money for this baseball team specifically. And they did a lot to acquire him and this pretty shitty contract. Like, they offloaded a useful pitcher, probably overpaid, but still a useful pitcher in Robbie Ray, to get him, and then Desclafani, who was then flipped in that trade for Polanco. The process was brutal. I mean, this move, I think, was more trying to get off of that Ray contract and then simultaneously like, yeah, we'll take on this contract, but it's kind of fan service. Like, it's not like they're taking on an unknown guy for this amount of money. Like, it was Mitch Haniger. You could at least convince the fans, like, hey, this guy means a lot to you. We're bringing him back. And not surprisingly, like, he was bad. He was very bad last season. I've talked about it a lot. I talked about it last week. And I was dreading seeing his name in the Fangraphs roster resource, like starting DH spot on opening day. Now, he had been dealing with a shoulder injury, so there was potential. And the leading theory by me and everyone else was he is going to start the year on the IL because of this shoulder problem. And whether how serious it is or not, they're going to start him on the IL just so they can roster Rowdy Tellez and Miles Mastrobuoni, which is crazy to go from Haniger to those two guys. Like, that's insane. And then coming back from the IL, they would just have to deal with it. Like, probably send Mastrobuoni down. He probably would not be good. But Mitch Haniger isn't good either, and he's being paid a lot of money. And they released him instead. I just can't believe they did it. I really can't believe they had the gumption to do this and eat this money. It's not something we've seen them be able to do. Like, this is the equivalent, almost, not quite, but this is the equivalent of signing a really good veteran bat. Like, eating $15.5 million is almost the equivalent of what they would have had to pay a Justin Turner or what they tried to pay Carlos Santana. And it's a net positive outcome regardless to cut Mitch Haniger from this team. He was taking up a roster spot in where you can at least have guys who are cheaper probably give you similar production. Like, I don't really like talking about price per production, but when a guy is that bad and the alternative is cheaper and probably also bad, but at least like there's some hope with some of these younger guys that might fill in. The writing was on the wall that he was probably going to be out of this team at some point, but I didn't think it was going to be before the season. So credit to them as well for doing this. This is the right move, the right baseball move. Like, it just didn't make sense to have him here anymore. Like, you acquired Randy Rosarena and you have Victor Robles now. That is 3 right-handed hitting outfielders who all can play defense better than Mitch Haniger. And that's saying something for Randy because he's not a very good defender. And then you have Luke Raley as your lefty outfielder, who is your clear 4th outfielder. And then Mitch can only really DH. He's not a good enough hitter to DH. You'd probably rather have Mitch Garver DHing against a left-handed pitcher. You'd probably rather have Luke Raley DHing potentially against a lefty even than Mitch Haniger. I would take the weak side platoon bat of Luke Raley over Mitch Haniger at this point. So it just didn't fit. It just didn't fit at all. And with younger guys who might be worse to fill in on the outfield, like you have like Dominic Canzone and Cade Marlowe, and I've talked about not believing in those guys at all, but they at least give you some hope. You know, like they at least give you like, oh, those guys are young. They could put together a league average season at the plate. Maybe. Even like Spencer Packard. And yeah, I just can't believe they cut him. I'm still kind of in disbelief. And I tweeted this out though. It's like it was amazing news that they cut him. Like, shout out to Mitch Haniger. Really, I definitely clowned him for his chemtrail posting recently, and he should be clowned for that. Don't get me wrong, but he definitely means a lot to the fans and to this organization. In the 21st century, he was a light in the darkness a little bit there, and he was kind of the through line of where this team had come from. Dipoto taking over, going for it, going through rebuilds. And Mitch Haniger was kind of that guy who was providing a little bit of the light in those years where there was unknown. There was so much unknown, but they had made this trade with the Diamondbacks, and then 2017, 2018, he was great for the team, and then he stuck around after the team was gutted. That's why I say he was the through line, and then he had a good 2021, and his 2022 was okay. He was hurt, and then the Giants signed him to his contract, and then the reacquiring was just a really bad move. So, whatever. Salute to Mitch Haniger. He had some really great moments with the squad, but this is best case for this team winning baseball games. The other really good news, before I just crack into what the opening day lineups is going to actually look like, the Mariners unleashed their streaming service, Root Sports Stream, which is the first direct-to-consumer product that you can watch Mariners games on, and like other Mariners stuff and Root programming for $20 a month. No commitment. You just pay $20 a month, watch Mariners games all season. Also a big success. Huge W. Didn't know if this was going to be out the door before the season, and they did it, and that's also really good news. That is quite reasonable. I think it should be cheaper than that, but that's just me. That is fairly reasonable to ask. Like, that's cheaper than MLB TV, and the whole stupid shit with MLB TV is if you live on the sidewalk outside of T-Mobile Park and have MLB TV, you literally can't watch Mariners games. So this, you can live right outside the stadium, pay $20 a month, and watch Mariners games and hear the stadium cheers before you see it on your screen for real. No blackouts. I thankfully don't have to deal with this. I don't live in that area, and I don't really pay anything to be able to watch Mariners games. I allegedly pay pennies on the dollar to watch Root Sports and Mariners games, and I am fortunate for that. And I won't be revealing why. But this is huge news. This is something that other teams have done with this kind of the RSN business model just imploding, and teams, and MLB for that matter, not really having good enough foresight to come up with a proactive plan, and now it's very reactive, but this is good for fans. All the other teams that are doing this are great, and it's really nice that the Mariners still owned a stake in Root, so that this is a Root Sports app that streams Mariners games and other Root stuff, instead of like what some other teams have, which went from like, and this is across all sports, like I think some NBA teams have this too, like the Bally Sports deal, and then Bally Sports, their like parent company, Diamond Sports Holdings or whatever the hell, went bankrupt, and then FanDuel bought them. And so now, like, you can pay for that and watch games blackout free, which is nice, but I imagine they are shilling FanDuel at every possible moment in that app and in the commercials and all that. So this will be nice for people to have a recognizable brand name and broadcast in Root Sports with this app to watch Mariners games, instead of it being like FanDuel Sports app for the Mariners, So that's a really good thing. So this week was, what a week. Cal Extension, Haniger released, streaming service for the fans. And now let's bring it down a notch and check out the opening day lineup, because with Mitch Haniger gone, I tweeted this out, this franchise is ridiculous. It is a hilariously unserious franchise. They released Mitch Haniger. Rejoice. Everyone rejoices in that. But now, who's on the roster? Now it's Rowdy Tellez. He's officially cracked the opening day roster for the Seattle Mariners, and I talked about him last week. I don't think he's very good, but he's going to hit home runs, and he's very large, and so we're going to revel in that for a little bit. He's going to be the opening day DH, which is insanity. And then Miles Mastrobuoni is going to be on the bench. This projection from Fangraphs, I think, is very accurate. It's Robles in right, Julio in center, Cal at catcher, Randy in left, Rayleigh at first base, Polanco, third baseman, known third baseman, Jorge Polanco, Rowdy Tellez at DH, Ryan Bliss at second base, J.P. Crawford at shortstop. And then the bench is Garver, Solano, Mastrobuoni, and Dylan Moore. Solano fills in at first base on the weak side platoon. Mitch Garver as well, backup catcher / weak side platoon DH guy. Dylan Moore is everywhere. And then Miles Mastrobuoni can also kind of play. He can play all of the corners, outfield to infields. I think he can play shortstop in a pinch, but I'm glad they have Ryan Bliss on the squad to do that if they need. To be really nice about this roster, there is a lot more flexibility now with Haniger out, I'd say. Dylan Moore, thankfully, is a full-time super utility guy. And then you have Rowdy Tellez at DH, and that gives Rayleigh an opportunity to play a lot of first base against right-handed pitching. Even if Rowdy stays on the squad, he can just play first base against right-handed pitching, and Rayleigh can play in the outfield if they want to not start Robles full-time against right-handed pitching. I guess Mastrobuoni exists and is a left-handed bat who can also play outfield, which is helpful. Mastrobuoni's not going to. I don't think he's going to be on this team past April. He's an April DFA guy for sure. I actually am unsure if he has options or not. Let me just double check if he has options. Do you have options, Mr. Mastrobuoni? You know what he also gives us is an opportunity to say a fun name. And I think that's underrated. Same with Rowdy Tellez is an opportunity to watch a very large man hit home runs. And I think that is fun. And Mastrobuoni gives us the opportunity to make some both Italian jokes and potentially some dick jokes. Where is his option information? I am stalling. Whatever. I don't know if he has any options left. He probably doesn't, which is why he's on this squad. I should just know this, but I don't off the top of my head. Whatever. Point is, he'll be off the team or in AAA by May, is my prediction. Rowdy Tellez, similar, but I don't know what the alternative to his is. Because Mastrobuoni on this team gives, there's a lot of options to call up here. Like, you can call up Samad Taylor in his stead. You could call up Leo Rivas. You could call up Dominic Canzone. All not great options, but I would like them probably more than Mastrobuoni. Even, who else could you call up? Brock Roden? No, he's probably staying in AA. Austin Shenton, yeah, he could be called up. Sure. Like Tyler Locklear, why not? Rowdy Tellez, there's not a clear fill-in here. I think Canzone would be that for a guy who can DH at least. And then maybe, I guess, Tyler Locklear for a guy who can also DH or play first or third. It's not great. It's this brought me down immediately after saying it was a really good week. But that's what the opening day lineup is looking like. For better or for worse, Rowdy is on there. And then the pitching staff, we know the starters. Gilbert is starting on opening day, which is pretty sweet. I don't think we knew that prior to my pitching preview. So that's cool. Really good for him. Really glad. It's really awesome. He deserves it as well. And it was really cool to hear him talk about Luis Castillo talking to him about it, because Luis has started opening day the past couple years for this team, and Luis was really happy for Logan. It fills my heart with joy to hear the young guys talk about Luis Castillo with as much reverence as they do. They all clearly have the utmost respect for him being the veteran of this pitching staff. And then Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, Emerson Hancock, with George Kirby starting the year on the IL. George Kirby started throwing the other day, which is good. And then the bullpen, which we largely knew, but there's some changes since my preview. So it's Munoz, Snyder, Santos, Thornton, Saucedo, Spire. And then it looks like Edward Bizardo Hive, stand the fuck up. He's on opening day. He's going to be there on opening day. I'm confident. And he's going to have a good year. All right. That's my guy. And then the little wrench in here is Carlos Vargas. Now I know for a fact, is out of options. Miles Mastrobuoni has one option left. Just saw that. All right. Bizardo and Vargas don't have any options left too, which is part of why they're going to be on the opening day roster. This is just how things work. Whether or not you think Casey Lugumina, the Big Bean, should be on the opening day roster on merit. I don't disagree over Vargas, who's really shown not a whole lot to deserve this spot. But unfortunately, Lugumina had an option, and so that's just how this is going to work. That's just, unfortunately, that is the, excuse me, that is just how baseball works sometimes, man. It depends on the flexibility and what the team wants to do. So Vargas and Bizzardo on this team to start the year. I like Bizzardo more than Vargas. Like, Vargas throws really hard. I just don't know if he's good at all. And he also is probably a likely late April DFA candidate. And especially if the Big Lagoon is looking good in AAA, they'll bring him up. Or probably Cody Bolton is on the list to get brought up. Like, Shintaro Fujinami might be in. He'll be in AAA as well, I'm sure. And then good news from the recovering from the Thomas Johnson surgery, Matthew Orel Brash, who that name is very similar to my name. He just appeared in a spring training game the other day, one of the last games of spring training, and he was throwing 98. His stuff looked really good, so he's trending in a great direction. It's been a little less than a year since his surgery. His surgery was early May last season. He's on track to be on this team probably in May. Like, I don't know how aggressive they're going to be with him. He'll ramp up in AAA or actually, will they send him to Arkansas or Tacoma? Probably Tacoma. Which him and George might be rehabbing together in Tacoma, which if you're in the area, absolutely go see that. But that's really good news. Everyone was saying he looked good. It was huge for him to get in any spring training game at all. So really, really good news. We need him back in this pen, because with him, this pen looks really good with Matt Brash in it. And then Troy Taylor as well is still just, strained lat, talked about it. That's just a really, really annoying, pesky injury that will hang around for a while. So I think it's like TBD when he's going to be back. When this bullpen has Matt Brash and Troy Taylor, and they basically take Bizzardo and Vargas' spot with everyone else being healthy, that is I really like that bullpen. I really do. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. But that was part of the good news this week was Matt Brash. And then the last part of this podcast, I'm done really talking about this team. I've talked about this team a lot. It's time for the season to start. It's hard for me to not be hopeful every single season. It's like, again, when I'm looking at this team, it's a good team on paper. It's not a great team. It's a good team. But most teams, especially in the American League, I'm looking at are like that. All of them have major flaws. There is no clear American League favorite to me. There's going to be a lot of 80 to 87 win American League teams. Like, the teams that are really going to be bad are the White Sox. And I think every other team might be decent. Like, I think the next two bad teams on here would be the Angels. I think they might be the worst team besides the White Sox in the American League, and then the A's. But I think I liked what the A's did this offseason, and they have some fun players. Like, I think the A's are going to be better than the Angels. I think they're going to finish above them. And then everyone else is like 80 to 90 wins. Like, there's not a team that I see here that could win like upper 90s. Like, maybe the Orioles, if they really pop and their pitching goes well and Felix Bautista is back looking amazing in the back of their bullpen, like, maybe they could win 93, 94 games. Yankees with Cole out and their decrepit offense, and a lot of it is decrepit with reliance on Volpe and Dominguez, who are questionable at the plate right now at best. I just don't know. It's hard to project this year. It's unfortunate that there's so many playoff spots, because MLB will tell you this is great. They added more playoff spots. There's more teams able to make the postseason. There's more teams trying to make the postseason. But then I'll tell you, there's too many teams trying to do the bare minimum to make the postseason, and there's not enough teams going for it and trying to win their divisions. You know, like it's kind of worked out exactly as a lot of people predicted. Like the more teams in the postseason has just watered down the upper mid level of teams. Like you have your Braves and your Mets and your Dodgers that are probably going to be 3 best teams in the league this year. Maybe throw the Phillies in there too as like absolutely going for it. And then what else do you have? You know, there's a lot of teams just like doing just enough to win 88 games and get the wild card spot or maybe luck into the division because their division's shit. So it's tough to project this season. I don't know what's going to happen in the American League West. This division is it's just slop. And it's so hard for me to be impartial because it's just like hopium for me is that it's so easy for me to be like, yeah, the Mariners are going to win 90 games and win the division. I could see that happening. I totally could. This division is bad enough to where that could absolutely happen. But I could see this team a little bit imploding and winning 79 games and handily missing the playoffs. So I don't know what's going to happen. But that being said, who's going to win the AL West? I think the Rangers are going to win the AL West. I think it's going to be the Rangers, and then the Astros, and then the Mariners in third. Do the Mariners make the postseason? No. I'm going to say no. I'm going to stand my ground right now and say no and hope to Christ that I am incorrect and that the pitching staff is awesome and Julio wins the MVP and they acquire a sick bat at the deadline. They go out and get freaking Vladdy at the deadline and they win 93 games. They win the American League West. Finally, for once in my lifetime, literally, and put up a banner and then win the pennant and go to the World Series and get swept by the Dodgers. You know, like that would be best case scenario, I feel like. But I'm going to stand my ground. Rangers, Astros, Mariners, all probably separated by 2 games at the end of the season. And then I'm going A's in 4th and Angels in 5th. The Angels are bad. And I like the A's. I like what the A's got going. I feel like their projections are too low on the A's. I like what they have cooking over there. I have doubts about their pitching staff on the whole, but they have Mason Miller, which is cool. I think Luis Severino is better than people are making him out to be. And then the other divisions, I just don't know. It's so brutal. I think the AL East is the hardest one to predict. It's probably the worst it's been in terms of ceiling for some of these teams in recent years, but maybe the most competitive year going into it in recent years because the Red Sox are finally, like, you could absolutely see them winning this division. And the Rays appear to be in a great position to bounce back. The Blue Jays are still a good team, not great. The Yankees are also still a good team, but probably not as good as last year, especially with the departure of Soto and the injury to Cole. And the Orioles are just the huge wild card here. Like, what if Jackson Holliday is a 6-WAR player this year? Like, him and Gunnar Henderson put up 14 WAR in the middle of that infield. Grayson Rodriguez has a great year. They acquire an arm at the deadline. They have the highest ceiling for sure in this division. But what I'm going to say, I think the Red Sox win the division. I think Red Sox, Rays, Orioles, Yankees, Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays end up winning the least amount of games because I think they sell at the deadline. I think they're going to be too far out of contention and they sell. And I think the Rays are going to be better than people think this year. And I think the Yankees are going to stink and win 82 games. And yeah. And then the AL Central, no, who freaking knows with the AL Central? I'm going to go, I think the Twins will win the division. I think the Tigers will get second. Guardians will have a step back and get third. I just don't know about their offense with what they did this offseason. The Royals, I also think, are going to slightly regress from last year. Get fourth, and the White Sox in fifth, sure. And the NL, oh, man. I think, God, I don't know. I think the Braves win the NL East. I think the Mets and the Phillies go 2-3. But hot take, I think they both missed the postseason, despite getting second and third in the division. And then the Nationals and Marlins follow them. And then the NL Central, I think the Brewers win the division again. I think the Cubs get second and make a wild card spot. And then the Reds, Cardinals, Pirates follow them. And then the NL West, I think the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks are 1-2. And then the Giants get third. The Padres take a step back and sell at the deadline and get fourth. The Rockies in fifth. So I think my postseason teams from the AL are the Rangers, Twins, Red Sox as division winners. Wildcard teams being, we'll go Astros, Rays, Orioles as the wildcard teams. And then the NL, the Dodgers, the Brewers, the Braves win the division. And then the wildcard teams are the Diamondbacks, the Cubs, and then random throw in the freaking Giants make it as the third wild card spot. No one's talking about the Giants this year, and that has me concerned because when no one talks about the Giants happen. Buster Posey is now leading this team, and everyone is projecting him to be just very, very mediocre again. And I think that's the perfect recipe for them to surprise people. And so you know what I'm going to do? I think the Rangers win the AL West and the American League. And I think the Giants win the National League, and the Giants are the 2025. Wow. That is a loud. Did you hear that? Man, I feel maybe that car didn't like my pick. That was like my cosmic sign to not make that pick, but I'm going to stick with it. The Giants shock the world again and win a World Series they have no business winning in 2025. Stamp it. They're gonna win in 6 games over the Rangers. Robbie Ray is gonna close out the game, piggybacking off of a Justin Verlander beautiful 5-inning efficient outing coming off Game 5 where Brett wisely hit a walk-off home run to take them in the lead in the series. Yeah, something stupid's going to happen. That feels like a real stupid Giants-y type way to win the World Series when no one is expecting it over the Texas Rangers, which would be just glorious to watch. And I think that's where I'm going to call it. I don't want to go very long on this. I wanted to scream out my random MLB picks and talk about what a week it's been for Mariners baseball. Twas the night before opening day. This is the last podcast before the season starts. Thank you all for listening. A hearty Go Mariners to you all. And I hope they start the season on the right foot on Thursday. But I hope you have a great rest of your week. And we'll be back to talk about the first Mariners games of the year in the near future. Goodbye.